Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. We're just gonna skip the pleasantry and get straight to it. So I booked my first event, and now we are scrambling to finish the final touches for everything. This is an event in which I have to bring my own stuff, so therefore I'm trying to get everything done. I've got things here that need to be put away, and then I've also got some projects that I'm trying to finish. Yeah, it's been a hectic week, which is why I have not filmed anything. Actually, the last 2 weeks have been a little bit hectic, so therefore no filming was done. However, I couldn't miss the opportunity to film this part of my mobile massage therapy journey. So a little bit of background on the event that I booked. It is a final Galentine's event being hosted at a brewery in a city not near me. It's actually going to be about 40 minutes out. However, the vendor fee was super low. It was only $25 for the vendor fee. And the company, I had looked into the company to make sure that they were legit, and they are. They do a lot of event planning. And I haven't really been able to hit on any pop-up events at number one, at the vendor price point, and two, so like last minute. Everything is usually having to be planned at least 2 months in advance, and somebody else in my career field has probably already booked it. So could not pass up this opportunity. I'm excited and also trying not to shit my pants. Also, I feel like I'm definitely going to need somebody to help me, because I don't think I'm going to be able to provide chair massages, promote myself, and run the table at the same time. I could be overanalyzing and getting like stressed out for no reason, but I've done chair massage events before, and I have not had an experience where there isn't like more than one moving part, and it always just seems to work out better when you have somebody helping you. So I texted my best friend today, and hopefully she'll be able to help me. I also asked another friend, but she's already busy for the weekend, and yeah, I know that I'm kind of asking last minute, and I really don't like to do that. I honestly thought I was going to be able to do it all by myself, but now that I'm thinking about it, like between the setup, the flow of everything, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it solo. So I'm trying to get some assistance. I'm trying. And like I said, right now I'm just trying to get all my stuff prepped for the actual table. I did go thrifting for most of my stuff, and then I went to Ollie's and At Home. So I'll show you guys everything how like presented, like how I want to set it up on the table, and then I'll go over price points and everything. You guys know me, you should know by now I'm super cheap, and I wasn't spending an arm and a leg to do a pop-up event. I tried to keep it as economic as possible, and yeah, I'm super excited with the stuff that I found. And for like a little incentive, I'm not doing a whole lot of physical handouts, if you will, like physical incentives. People were suggesting for me to do like a free giveaway for a massage. It never gave that. Like, I don't have the funds quite yet to be just giving out free massages, so that's a no-go. I did come up with something else though that I thought was just cute, easy, simple, and allowed me to get rid of some craft materials in my office at the house. So I'll also show you guys that. What else? I think that's it right now. Like I said, I need to double check the screws on my chair, since I'll be taking my massage chair with me. I need to clean out the bag. There's like a water stain on it, and it's been there for a while, and I just haven't thought about it up until now. Of course, typical. But we need to figure something else out with that, because I need to be able to carry the chair in its bag. So yeah, checking the massage chair for safety and cleaning the massage bag, and then I'll show you guys like my little pop-up presentation once I figure out if it actually looks cute or not. And yeah. Okay, so when you come up to the table, you'll have a sign-in sheet here, and then this has the waiver on it as well, because I didn't want to have to print off separate pieces of paper for people to like keep signing. That's going to slow down traffic, so all on one page I think will work out best. And then I just wrote down all the time slots for how long the event is supposed to be. I think just signing in by time will probably be the best method for now, but if it gets busy to the point that it's just like a first come first serve, then honestly, like, the timestamps become irrelevant after that. It's kind of just like one person in the chair for like 10 minutes and then moving on to the next one. They still have to sign in, but adhering to a complete time slot, like a strict 1:30 or like a strict 3 o'clock, you know, you stop doing that once the event gets to be too much. And then over here, I made those self-care cards with the little jute cords on them for people to take. I don't know why some of these are a little weird looking. I think I got a little oversaturated with the glue, but it's fine. I think I'll probably mix them up so that way the bad ones aren't like sticking out towards the front, but we'll do that later. And then after that, hey y'all, brief intermission. I already know that I had some misspelling on my sign, so my stupid ass forgot to change the word accepted to the proper variation. So we're just gonna pretend like it's not there. Nobody at the event noticed, mostly because I was like low-key covering it with my hand as I was explaining the type of payments that we take. But yeah, this is what rushing looks like, and it didn't dawn on me until the day after when I was getting ready to leave. I don't know why it didn't hit me when I was giving you guys the overview of this table, but whatever. So, all that to say, no need to point it out in the comments. I already know. I promise that I am literate and I have great vocabulary. Let's move on. I have a payments accepted sign with every type of payment that I take. So Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, and cash tips. I'm putting my handle down here because I couldn't fit it on that. So that's gonna go there. And then my tip jar for people who don't have cashless payments. I made this, well, I didn't make it, I thrifted it. And then hand drew the little tip sign, taped it on there with some glue, and then this comes out really easily, so I can just set that to the side. And if people want to throw in cash chips and that, then they can do that. And then I have my little shelving piece here. So I probably could fit more in this opening, but what I ended up doing was printing out flyers in the event that I run out of business cards for people to take. And I think I printed probably about 30 something flyers and then 30 little cards to take. I'm just really not sure how many people to anticipate, honestly. I'm just kind of guesstimating. But I didn't want to print too much or too little, so I think 30 is a good number. Moving on to this little hello sign. Just something that's welcoming and inviting with a little mini plant next to it, and then of course my price points here. So I think it's cute. I think it's simple to the point. I think it's inviting. And yeah, and I have this old computer desk from a couple years ago still sitting in my closet. It's foldable. And then I bought this little tablecloth from the Goodwill as well. So, thrifted tablecloth, thrifted tabletop piece, thrifted jar, clipboard from Ollie's. This was down in our basement. Don't know what year it's from. So free. Craft supplies are from like Michael's from years ago. I actually got the jute cord from Dollar Tree. Shelf is from At Home. The hello sign is from At Home. The plant is from At Home. The acrylic stand is from Ollie's. Did I say where this was from? Clipboard is from Ollie's, if I didn't say it right. Clipboard is from Ollie's. All my printed stuff is just copy paper that I had at home, and then of course, you know me, me and this printer here don't always get along, but she did her best. And then all of my templates and stuff, like I made those from Canva and then just tweaked them. Same with the little sign inside the tabletop piece. Super duper affordable. Honestly, all together, just the tabletop pieces, probably about $50. Yeah. If I had to guess, I don't have my receipts on me, but everything was between $3 and $9, so probably about $50 altogether, if I had to guess. So super affordable little vendor station, and then, you know, low cost for me in the business. The less money I have to spend, the better. But yeah, that's gonna be my little vendor booth. I think it's so cute. Cute, cute. Hey everybody, so it is the next morning, and this is what I was talking about with the chair on the grass, faux grass. I think it looks good. I want people to kind of feel like they're outside, even though we're stuck inside. So I think it's going to be a cute little idea. I am a little bit worried about the surface of the brewery floor, so we have hardwood floors here, and it does move easily. I think once somebody's actually on it, it should be fine. But I don't have any rug grips to put underneath, so we'll see when I get there. I'm hoping that I can still do it without it being a hazard. I think I'm just more worried about when people get off and on, because I did test it out myself, and once you're actually on the chair, like, it's solid. It's not moving. So hopefully that'll work out the way I want it to. But I also checked my chair for safety, made sure the screws and everything were tight, nothing was loose, and that's pretty much, well, and that's good to go. So I'm going to be packing that up here soon. I just have everything in this box here for my table setup, and then of course I have my table here, and that's pretty much all I'm bringing. I need to get my bag from downstairs to put the chair in. I ended up having to wash that overnight because there was a mildew stain on it and it was extremely musty. So I ended up having to hand wash it because there were no washing instructions on the bag, and I didn't want to risk putting it in the washer and the dryer because it does have some metal pieces on it, so couldn't speed up the process, if you will. So that's been drying for like probably 12 hours, and I'm hoping that when I go downstairs it is completely dry, because I'm not going to be able to function without putting my chair in its bag for transportation purposes. Fit for the day is just an all black fit. Under Armour long sleeve with my black joggers. Once again, just because I want to keep it simple, didn't want to have to deal with anything I feel like I couldn't move in, because I'm prepping myself to be able to move around quite a bit. So yeah. Outside of that, that's all I have going on this morning. I ended up getting my dad's girlfriend to help me out with my table today, and right now it's like almost 9 o'clock, and we're gonna head out of here at like 10:30. I still need to get breakfast as well, and I need to take a Celsius because I'm a little bit tired. I'm not even like nervous about the work. I'm just like nervous that I want it to go well. I want it to go well, and I want to like get potential clients. I don't want to waste my time. I think that's what has me the most anxious, is just feeling like I might waste my time, which sometimes will come with doing vendor events. That's why I gotta be picky about what I'm spending my money on, because truthfully the only reason I took this event was because the vendor fee was $25, and I just felt like it was the easiest opportunity for me to get, because it was so last minute. They needed a therapist and I was available. So yeah. But I'm gonna go downstairs to the basement and make sure that my bag is dry, and I'm gonna go ahead and pack the car up too. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. So I am back home and I just wanted to give some thoughts on today's event. Now, I did divide this into 3 categories. So the first category is a vendor fee and setup. The second category is the event space. And the third category is traffic and signups. I did rate all these out of 10. So let's go ahead and just jump into the first category. So for the first category, for my vendor fee and setup, I rated it a 10 out of 10. Mostly because the vendor fee was $25. I'm going to be very honest when I say, had this event costed me anything over $50, I probably would not have went. Because first things first, it was in a city that I don't frequent often. It's actually 40 minutes out of the way for me. So for me to drive 40 minutes out of the way for an event, not knowing if I was going to make a profit or not, because I don't really know the demographic, like the environment, the city that well, it's very risky to me to put in anything over $50, honestly. And I'm actually going to kind of drop that down to, not going to kind of drop it down, I'm going to drop that down to $45. For me to put in anything over $45 for a city and an event host I know nothing about is super duper risky. And when you are a micro business like me, there's small business and then there's micro business. And when you're a micro business, you cannot afford to just be giving out these fees for all of these vendor events because you have to be smart about your money in your first couple years. So $25, chef's kiss. And the reason that it's so low is because it is a bring your own stuff event. So as you guys saw, you have to bring your own table. You basically have to make your own booth. And I actually kind of like that because it allows me to be creative in the way that I want. And I found that in the past, when I have a table that's like given to me, I don't like the setup. I never like the setup. I want to be able to be creative and like showcase like my personality through my table. So I would consider that a pro. A con to that is the fact that you do have to haul all of it, and the setup and the takedown is a little bit tedious, but speaking for me personally, I actually think my setup is pretty simple, and I did it that way on purpose because I knew that the setup and takedown process is like kind of a doozy. So that would be the only con. So moving on to the second category, which was the event space, I rated that a 6 out of 10 because the brewery that this was held at was one of the smallest breweries I've ever seen in my life. And honestly, the only thing that was making it a brewery was the drink menu, and that's just my opinion. The second reason is because, and this is where I start to feel like I was getting a little bit gypped, and the event host was kind of catching on to the fact that I wasn't really feeling what she was putting down. So it's me and 5 other vendors, and we all paid $25 for a 6-foot space. Okay, so with me having a massage chair, I do need room to move around in the event that I want to like do some arm stretches or whatever. I need ample space. I don't need my table to be 6 feet as well as additional feet for my working space. I don't need that at all. You guys saw my table, and my table was 31 inches in length, which is what, like 3 feet? Definitely not a 6-foot table. And then it was just my massage chair. I was a little annoyed at the way I was placed. So in the brewery, there's to the back of the dining tables, there's a whole wall of just like floor to ceiling windows. And in between, in the middle of those floor to ceiling windows, there is a secondary entrance and exit. And for some odd reason, they had the right, so it's a double door, and they had the right door as the entrance for people to walk in. Now, to the right, it's my table hemmed up to that door, so that way when people walk in, I basically looked like a hostess. And I didn't like that. And there was probably about 5 inches of space taken off from my paid for 6 feet, which I didn't appreciate at all. And while it may sound petty to some, to me it's a little bit rude, because
you have it in my contract that I'm supposed to be getting a 6-foot space, not 5.5, not 5.8, and not 5.9. So therefore, if I'm paying for 6 feet, I want my whole 6 feet, 6.0. So didn't like that. And the reason I say the event host realized I wasn't feeling it is because every time people were walking in, she realized that they were like borderline running into us when they walked in. And so she kept having me move a couple inches over to the right more. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. The second time she asked me to do that, I said, I'm not moving. I'm sorry. I'm just not. Because why they didn't unlock the left side of the door was beyond me. That would have made traffic flow 10 times better. And it also was 10 times smarter. Because to the left side of the door, there was another gal that had a vendor table, but she had ample space. Nobody was going to be able to run into her or like brush up against her or anything. So that was kind of an annoyance. Not a huge deal, but definitely something that I took note of. Also, the girl that was a vendor next to me on the right side, she had a 6-foot folding table. And I lied to you not, we had that much space between me and her table. I'm like, dude, I'm literally trying not to like bump into her table. I'm having to snake my way through my chair, like the gap between my chair and her table, and the gap between my chair and my table. So the event space con was that there was barely room for us because the brewery was so small as is. Also, the brewery that we were hosted at was on the newer side. It had only been opened for a full year. So they're trying to, get as much traffic in as they can. And with it being new and in a college town, the time frame that we were there, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but we can go ahead and move on from the event space. So the event space was just too small, and I felt like I got gypped on my space a little bit. So we'll move on. So the time that we were there plus the demographic will fall into traffic. So small brewery in a college town, our event was from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. So from 11 to 2, it was extremely slow. And it didn't dawn on me until I got there and I realized, actually, people are not coming to a brewery that early in the day unless they're an alcoholic, probably. And we were in a college town, so a lot of those college students were probably in a dorm, in an apartment, doing homework before they decided to go out and about into the little town center. So that 11 to 2 window was extremely slow. And me personally, I'm not going to stand for that. Like, I didn't come here to stand around and hang out. Like, I came here to work. So another mistake that the event host made was advertising this event as a Galentine's event. It was supposed to be a final Galentine's event for the month of February, and it didn't end up working out that way. And I don't think that she should have promoted it as such, because there was nothing Galentine's about it. Like, we were literally 6 vendors doing pop-ups at a brewery. There was nothing Galentine's about it. I think because she thought that it was like all women owned and kind of like girly things, that she could label it as that, but it wasn't that. And it didn't give that. So slow start was a con to that. And this is definitely a place I realize pops off in the evening, which I wish our vendor event was. I kind of wish we were scheduled for like 2 to 6 or something, but there was an interference with that because they do a live band that works from 5 to closing. So there was no way that we were going to be able to have our event in that small space plus a live band plus the traffic for the brewery. No way at all. But it was definitely an event that should have been held in the evening hours, and I definitely think I would have made a better profit had we been scheduled for the evening. As far as the signups, I ended up having 5 signups in total, all of which were 15-minute sessions. So first and foremost, I'm super grateful for people coming up to my vendor. However, they would not have came up to my vendor had I not gone out of my way to market in the bar. And one thing I've realized doing chair massages is that nobody wants to be the first person in the chair. People want to see somebody else go first, and they want to see how they react, and then they'll start pouring in. So that's another little thing I'm going to keep in mind for my next one. Whoever's assisting me at my next one is going to have to get in the chair first, because we need to set a tone here, because people don't want to see, they want to hear you talk. If you're a massage therapist, they don't really want to hear you talk, they want to see you work. So if people are seeing others come out of the chair like, oh wow, that was amazing, they're going to want to be like, oh, I want one, I don't want to miss out. So that was something that I picked up on, and I could kind of tell that people were like waiting to see somebody get in the chair first before they were deciding. Like, I even had a couple older ladies that walked by my vendor and they were like, oh, like, I really want to try, but I don't know. And it's like, I want to try, but I don't know. So, you know what I'm saying? So just a little something I picked up on. Now, as far as money, grateful for that as well. So I ended up making $75.13 in chair massages. And then obviously from that, we had to deduct the vendor fee, which will then give me my profit. And my profit ended up being $50.13. Now, am I happy with that number? Yes, I am. And the reason being is because my goal for that day was to make my vendor fee back plus a little extra, which I did. So yes, $50, like, oh, like, that's not a lot of money. But it's like, my mindset now is $50 isn't a lot of money. You're right. But it was $50 I didn't have that day. It was $50 extra that I received. And I'm happy with that. And I'm grateful for that, because I could have left there with nothing. And then we would have been in the negative $25 from our vendor fee. So, but, you know, I also can't expect for people to just walk up to me. You know, I also had to put in the work. And I think once that 2:30 time hit, like I said, that 11 to 2 o'clock time was a doozy. And I literally walked up to the event host and I was like, listen, I just want you to know I'm going to go market to some people in this restaurant slash bar slash brewery, whatever it was. And she was for that. Now, I can't blame her for the lack of traffic. At the same time, I think she could have done a better job at marketing. Like, you're an event host, so your job is to market. And as the days went on leading up to the event, I realized she could have done a better job than what she did in terms of pulling in people. And she was very nice, don't get me wrong. But if you're going to be an event host, you need to be on it with the marketing. And I think that would have helped everybody there, not just me. I actually felt bad for some of the girls that were there because they had way more to set up than I do, and a couple of them left with nothing, which will happen sometimes. I can only speak to my situation, and I am grateful for my $50. I will laugh to the bank with it. Just kidding. But it's like I said, it was $50 that I didn't have, so that's my mindset, and I think that's a good way to think. So for my overall rating for this specific event, I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. And I think had the event space and the time frame of the event to help pull in traffic had been better, my rate would have been higher. But overall, I was happy with it for a first solo pop-up event. And I learned a few things that I can use to put towards like the next vendor event that I try to do. So, you know, whether that be what's the timing of the event, where is it going to be, what demographic can I expect, you know, things like that. So yeah, I think that's it. To reiterate for the 1000th time, I'm content with the event, learned some things, made a profit, and that's it. Like I said, I wanted to keep this section short and sweet. I'm also extremely tired and dehydrated, so I'm gonna go ahead and end this video here. I do have some events that I'm trying to get into for the month of March, and I really hope that they pull through. So stay tuned for that. I'm gonna try my best to film them it is hard when you're trying to get content and work at the same time. I feel like I'm so locked in when I'm doing these things that I completely forget about the camera. But yes, so I am going to end this video here, hydrate and get some rest, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this vlog. I tried to keep it not too long but not too short, so we'll see what ends up happening when I edit it, but either way, I hope you guys enjoy it, and I definitely look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. I hope you all have a great week coming up, sending lots of positive vibes your way, lots of good energy, and with that, I leave you. See you guys next time.